possess him, takes on his multi-armed form, and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Glamour and discourse are flesh and blood of contemporary reality. Glamour, despite popular belief, is not a French word. Glamour comes from the Scottish word meaning witchcraft. Glamour came from grammar. Grammar, or grammatica, had various meanings relating to aspects of knowledge or logos, and one of these was occult practices, which were associated with literacy, which is almost the same thing as the contemporary meaning of discourse. Discourse comes from dis, a Latin negative signifying prefix, and course. Course comes from Latin currere, to run or flee. Altogether, discord means to run around or forbidding flight. But flight from what? A magazine, the classic example. Everything you see in these photos is glamour, and the columns of text are discourse. For a typical TV program, everything in the picture is glamour. The words they say is discourse. Same goes for songs, video clips, YouTube videos, and all kinds of advertising. Everything a person says is discourse, and how he is saying it is glamour. Glamour is sexual energy expressed as money. Admit it, objects in these pictures are sexy. Glamour is money expressed as sex. Discourse is distilled glamour. Discourse is glamour devoid of sex and money. You can always exclude sexual energy from the equation, and then you get money expressed as money. Discourse is meaningless concepts, empty chatter produced from glamour passing through the prism of envy. Glamour is iridescent images produced from discord, mixed with sexual or so-called creative energy. Discourse gives an illusion of sense to glamour, and glamour gives an illusion of liveliness to discourse. Glamour interprets the complexity of external beauty. Discourse depicts the beauty of internal complexity. A man tries to be glamorous to show the complexity of his body, and tries to speak smart to show the beauty of his spirit. The intercourse between these two generates all contemporary culture. It's believed that contemporary society is free of ideology, that ideologies such as monarchism, fascism, and communism were defeated in the 20th century. But that is a delusion. Glamour is the ideology of a contemporary society. Glamour, which comes from discourse. One may ask how images of bimbos with diamond embellishments to their silicone-enhanced breasts, or the playboy in the electric car with a Rolex on his hands could represent the ideology of a regime. The ideology gives you aim to pursue and justifies your actions. Also, it answers the question, in the name of what all that had to happen. And the core ideologism of glamour is the change of appearance, disguise, changing of an apartment in North Dakota to an apartment in New York, from New York to Goa, from Goa to New York, changing cars, changing skin color, changing nicknames, gender, whatsoever. The same with discourse, which does nothing else than repack those few topics that are permitted to be discussed in public, all that promise some miracle. The miracle which never happens, but covers the absolute absence of miracles in real life. Changing labels is not merely technology, but the only content of glamour. Glamour and discourse are multi-headed hydra. You cut one head, two new come out. Glamour and discourse develop a closed system. Any intellectual which tries to sort things out in fact just adds to the system, adds his energy in form of schizophrenic concepts and believes that he is being awarded life-giving nourishment in return. These schizophrenic concepts form discourse. So it should be clear by now, none of those feminists, red pills, and other types of social justice warriors, preachers of science and religion, news analytics, and even study experts, all kinds of discourse repackers have absolutely no idea what they are talking about. By and large, all the senses they produce is nothing more than self-justifying bleating of silly animals, sometimes very cute, but still bleating. The system captures human mind in early childhood. Meta-intent studies have shown that every human can recall this moment under specific circumstances, but usually that happens upon death. After the capture, all subsequent life of a human is not really a life of the human. It's the system of glamour and discourse that lives through him. It sounds like a fantasy story, but such things really happen in our world. For example, O. unilateralis fungus infects ants and alternates behavioral patterns of the affected ants. Infected hosts leave their canopy nest and foraging trails for the forest floor, an area with a temperature and humidity suitable for fungal growth. Then the ant climbs to the top of the tree to get the best area coverage. Then they use their mandibles to affix themselves to a major vein or the underside of a leaf so the sun won't burn them, where the host remains until its eventual death. Then fruiting bodies grow from the ant's head, rupturing to release the fungus's spores. Pretty long, smart, and complex plan, isn't it? Very few humans can be such considered. Of course, most of them have already subscribed to meta-intent. O. unilateralis in turn is also susceptible to fungal infection itself, an occurrence which can limit its impact on ant populations, which has otherwise been known to devastate ant colonies. Not bad for a primitive mushroom, who knows what other mushrooms are capable of when they get to the right host. Another example is the tapeworm. It has a very long and considered life cycle. In the final stage, it makes the infected fish to swim in dangerous for a fish places, making it an easy target for humans, just like the toxoplasmosis parasite which makes cats attractive to mice. A cat eats an infective mouse and gets infected. Some studies show that toxoplasmosis alters human behavior too. It's scary, but at least all the above parasites have bodies, at least one cell, which means they can be defeated with pills or at least with fire. But Glamour and Discourse are different. They are transcendent. Killing hosts with fire is effective, but only temporary. Glamour alters images of natural sexuality to images provided by the industry of glamour. Discourse serves as an intellectual basis for that. Then the host becomes dependent on glamour. Symptoms of that are 1. An incredible, agonizing shame, which comes after comparison of your own miserable poverty and ugliness with images provided by glamour. 2. Vindictive gloat, which comes after you see someone else's miserable poverty and ugliness, which he failed to disguise. Now any woman knows that she is fat and ugly just by opening an entertainment magazine or some top Instagram page which would show what is beautiful this week. Same with men. Abolishment of initiatic institutes led to needing of self-identification. All that's needed to show him the super rich and preferably genius player. After such entertainment, men and women start to run around in futile efforts to become like them, spending most of their money which goes to their idols so they can continue to provide images of success to the public. Glamour and Discourse are created to plunge people into misery and poverty. These qualities, of course, are relative, but suffering caused by them is pretty certain. A human spends his whole life in this state of shame and misery. All that is needed to hide the real position of a human in the symbiosis of humans and their masters. Admittedly, in order to hide something, you just need to make people not think about it, to plunge people in various thoughts, entertain them, and beyond this limited amount of thoughts, the whole world can be hidden, and thoughts are controlled by those who dictate the discourse. For example, everyone knows that there is a lot of evil in the world, but what is the source of evil is the question which is constantly being discussed on all TV, radio, internet news channels. A man plunges into this discourse and forgets his natural intuitive knowledge, the thing that becomes unclear for him. Admittedly, hiding something that big is a complex magical task. Discourse serves as an impenetrable fence for a rational mind. The fence that separates a territory you can't get to from a territory you can't leave. All that is left for a human is to graze inside the discourse and make money. All their life people are working to get some money, though they never have it, but always worry about how much money they do have, and how much money do their neighbors have. Discourse, of course, gives its explanation. It says, don't worry about money. Money is just a tool made by humans to make life easier. That's how humans surpassed animals. Do you see the trick here? In fact, human did not surpass animal. Human fell lower than an animal. Only a retired billionaire can allow himself to live like an animal, not to work, to breathe and eat ecologically clean food and air, sleep and be active as much as is needed for him. Animals don't work, only cattle works. Cattle which was made by humans in their own image. Just like a cattle, all his life a human works to earn money, but 99% never sees them. He never sees them because he does not earn them. He makes money out of himself, makes for someone. Just like cattle transforms clover, grain, and its life power to milk, a man transforms sunlight, food, his time and energy to make money. And just as a cattle, a human believes that he works hard for his own or his children's good. It's needed to clarify that money is not currency, dollars, euros, or rubles. Money is what differs this car from this woman from this. Glamour. The substance is always the same no matter how it's being represented. A currency like dollar serves only as an objectification, a tool that humans use to explain to themselves why they do such useless activity, to hide the reason why humans have to feel envy, hatred, lust, greed, and irradiate them into the atmosphere where they can be collected. Humans produce glamour and discourse, which create culture. Glamour serves as a clover field for a cow, and discourse as a fence that holds cattle within the field. But unlike cows, humans consume the same substance they produce, consume it very actively. Glamour, all that make people feel painful lust, hatred, greed, and envy. These sentiments are byproducts of consuming and producing glamour, but they are the real reason why the system was built in the first place. Glamour and discourse are abstract constructs which can only be understood by humans, but the sentiments of lust, greed, and hatred are real energy which humans irradiate. Glamour and discourse alter or create reality. It's safe to say that glamour and discourse are substantiated lies. Every human from time to time produces glamour and discourse. When you look into a person's eyes, you can feel it. You can feel if a person is lying or not. Unpleasant sensation of attraction or gravity or hypnosis or just straight pain and disgust. For example, a film actor should always avoid looking straight into the camera, because once the viewer meets the actor's eyes, the atmosphere might become ruined. The viewer might start to feel the actor is just playing.
I don't know.
Very few, the top actors, only can afford themselves straight sight into the camera.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
That is exactly the same reason why a liar tries to hide his eyes so another person won't sense that he is lying. However, not all liars hide their eyes. There is a special type of liars. The more lies one commits during his life, the more powerful his glamour production becomes, and he might expect that his eyes will enthrall you, hypnotize you, and make you believe and even love him. That is exactly why TV casters must maintain the eye contact. It's a general rule of television. That's how one TV station can seamlessly control unlimited amount of people, sell absolute nonsense, and keep being respected. And not everyone can become a TV caster or a top YouTube blogger. There are very specific requirements and steps one has to make to gain this kind of power. Any human produces and consumes glamour at the same time. Not everyone can recognize if someone is lying by looking in the eyes. One has to not produce glamour in order to spot a liar, otherwise one will immediately consume the lie. One has to be honest. Pretty easy. However, this technique is not possible for most of the people because every man constantly maintains the image of an honest, strong, and responsible man. And every woman maintains the image of a pure, trustworthy, and lovely woman. An honest man actually tries to avoid eye contact because it's painful. He looks into the eyes only occasionally when he wants to find out if his vis-a-vis is lying. An honest man, unlike a typical man, feels pain instead of being entertained. Sometimes it leads to sociophobia. Discourse interprets sociophobia as a mental illness, but in fact many great philosophers who surpassed the Great Wall of Discourse but did not develop themselves tools how to deal with society preferred seclusions to socium, which is almost the same thing as sociophobia. Meta-intent gives those tools to everyone who is ready. Discourse constantly tells you that setting and maintaining eye contact is very important, that you should always maintain eye contact to make people trust you. But why should you do it if you don't like it? Why should you do it if you feel it's wrong, that is uncomfortable for you? Why do you have to betray your own intuition, betray yourself, and do what they want you to do? And why do you have to make people trust you? Doesn't that imply that you are a shitty person which constantly needs to convince others of being trustworthy? Meta-intent does not think so. Join us.